Yeah, I think Americans will be thinking about it because I think in a lot of ways what's going on now in these southern states shows the disastrous impact of entrenched bureaucracy. So one thing that I was seeing today on social media was a post from someone who was saying like, oh, and you had this firefighter. So there have been people, citizens, volunteers who have resources, like a guy with his own helicopter, and he was going into the mountains of North Carolina. He was actually rescuing people and taking them down the mountain. He gets down the mountain. So this firefighter, he sees somebody needs rescuing. He goes up the mountain. It's him and his son in his helicopter. They're both volunteer firefighters, right? So like skilled people. They take the wife of the family. They bring her down the mountain. They leave the son behind because you can only put two people in. So he gets down and the law enforcement there, the fire department, they're like, we're going to arrest you if you keep doing this. And he's like, well, now I left my son up there and there's another guy up there. And eventually he had to go get his son and leave the guy stranded. With the idea that like the law enforcement would go get the guy perhaps in a few hours. And what you have is the local law enforcement saying you're screwing up our operations. There was another report of somebody saying, FEMA doesn't let you just bring in supplies and distribute them because they have vendors. They have preferred vendors. And of course, every government across the country has a preferred vendors list and you submit to be one of the preferred vendors. And they have quota systems. So you have to check off your various identity boxes to be one of the preferred vendors so that they have the right numbers of all of the different racial boxes checked. Wow. And that's a big thing that happens. And that's at every locality in the country, I'm sure of it, right? That's all over the place. And so you're seeing if a volunteer firefighter from wherever who's got his own helicopter and his kid who's a junior in high school who's also a volunteer firefighter, if they can't go in and help fellow citizens because the government says you're getting in the way and the government says we have our preferred contractors, you can't deliver these supplies, that shows the lie of big government. That shows that big government cannot be a partner in your life and probably should be dismantled in a very large way.
It's kind of